Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, there's an astonishing story in today's Irish Times that we urgently need further information about. It transpires the Attorney-General, Paul Gallagher, has been carrying on private legal work since he was appointed by your government in June of last year. According to the article, Mr Gallagher is acting for former directors of Independent News and Media, now known as Media House Ireland, after INM was taken over by a Belgian company, in their dealings with High Court inspectors who are investigating the company. What makes this even more bizarre is the High Court inspectors were appointed on foot of an investigation that is underway into the company by the Office of the Director of Corporate Enforcement, the state's white-collar crime watchdog. So we have the Attorney-General, the state's top lawyer, acting for a number of former company directors of one of the biggest media companies in the country, in the case which emanated from an inquiry by the state's corporate watchdog. You couldn't make it up. It has also been reported that one of Mr Gallagher's clients is a current board member of Media House. It really is quite extraordinary. The Irish Times article stated Mr Gallagher is acting in the case in a private capacity. I don't know how that works, Taoiseach. Is he Attorney-General by day and a more ordinary barrister by night? Mr Gallagher cannot simply take off his Attorney-General hat, leave it at the door, and enter the room as a different persona. His office carries weight, power, authority, responsibility, not to mention obligations that can't just be shrugged off whenever it's expedient to do so. And on what planet was it felt that it was appropriate to do so, especially given this case is the most high-profile investigation currently being undertaken by the ODCE? The conflict of interest here is just stunning and multi-layered. There is the obvious conflict of the Attorney-General being involved in a case in which the state is on the other side. Apparently, Mr Gallagher sought and received government approval to carry on his private legal work. Who exactly authorised this? Was it a decision by the Taoiseach or a cabinet decision? Is there a record of it? And who provided the legal advice to whoever made this decision? And were you aware of it, Taoiseach? Incredibly, we don't know if this is the only case the Attorney-General is involved in. There could well be others. We need clarity on that today, Taoiseach. How many private legal cases is the Attorney-General acting in, and who exactly are his clients? There are strict rules, of course, when it comes to civil servants, particularly senior civil servants engaging in private work. Were those rules followed by the Attorney-General? Similar to TDs and senators, the AG has to fill out a statement of interests that is lodged with SIPO. Was his private work included in this statement? And finally, Ceann Comhairle, of further huge importance is that the Attorney-General's office instructs barristers for state work, which is often quite lucrative. Do you accept, therefore, that this is grossly inappropriate, that he would be engaged in private work? How would you feel as a barrister, Taoiseach, to learn your opposing counsel is the AG, whose office can make or break careers? Taoiseach, do you see that there are serious problems with this?
Deputy, just to say to you that there's salient rulings in this area of allegations against the Attorney-General, though I'm conscious that the matter you're raising has been in the media, and we should proceed with great care in terms of what we have to say here. Taoiseach.
Thanks very much, Deputy. The Attorney-General is finishing out a number of cases which he had taken on prior to his appointment as Attorney-General in this government. That's not unprecedented. I understand this has happened in the past with former attorneys, that they're allowed to finish out cases that they were involved in prior to their appointment. It is something that the party leaders in the Cabinet were aware of in a general sense. At the time of his appointment, but obviously not the detail of any particular cases. The ODCE is an office of my department, and I think taking that into account, it would be most inappropriate for me to comment on any particular case, and I appreciate you're not asking me to comment on any particular case, but I just wanted to put that on the record of the House. The Deputy's asked a number of detailed questions, and they're reasonable questions, about the attorneys' legal practice, but they're not questions I have the answers to. I'm not accountable to the Dáil for such matters, but they are reasonable questions, and I'll endeavour to see if we can find answers for the Deputy sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
Do you accept that there is huge potential conflict of interest here? It's news to me and probably to other people that, you know, there have been other cases of this. What about the previous period when Mr. Gallagher was the AG? Did he carry on private work at that stage? And can you be a bit more specific about how this decision was reached? Was it a cabinet decision? Was it recorded? And who provided the legal advice on it? And you say you don't have the detail on this. Surely Mr. Gallagher would have been asked to provide that detail. Is it recorded somewhere? And finally, Taoiseach, I accept that there are some questions that you can't answer here and now, but will you give a commitment, in light of the seriousness of this situation, to come back to me today with all of those replies?
Thank you, Deputy Shortall. Taoiseach.
Thanks, Deputy. I'm absolutely certain that the Attorney-General will be very careful to avoid any conflict of interest or any perception of a conflict of interest. He's a person of the highest integrity and ability, and I have full confidence that he will make sure that there is no conflict of interest. I'll endeavour to find answers to your questions as soon as I can. I can't promise that it'll be today. I don't know if there was a formal cabinet decision on the matter recorded or if there was legal advice. But what I can say is that the party leaders and the cabinet were informed that the Attorney-General would be finishing out some cases that he'd taken on before his appointment as Attorney-General.